Okay.
Yeah, and here we go. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday, y'all.
How's everyone?
Everyone is, I mean, I'm doing well. I cannot complain.
You're doing good. Okay, everybody, let's just get this out the way. This is Everett. Everett
Hello.
is my go green
Go white.
Sparty, and he is here. We're going to talk about the education of you, what's going on in the educational world. But before we do that, I just need to know something real quick. Keela, did you say how you were doing first? Did you
I
ask?
probably did, but I was putting my mic in, so
Does
I
your
was.
mic sound nice? Check one.
My mic does sounds nice. Check two.
Okay. Okay. Um, have you guys ever been on the giant slide before? The one that fell out when you were younger?
Yes, and it used to be so much fun.
I went there frequently. I took my daughter there 6 or 7 years ago. She was like 7 years old. I
Hmm.
let her have that experience.
Would you take her back to ride it today?
You know what? She probably would freak out.
Uh-huh.
Because what I saw, like they was going airborne, like they was going over to the Detroit River and Windsor. I'm like, I don't know about this one.
Okay. Okay. So everybody, in case if you're just like tuning in and wondering what the heck we're talking about, the giant slide. So I don't know if you all over the past 2.5 days have seen all the clips of the people, grown-ups, kids, different sizes, different ages, riding this giant slide. And it has just been absolutely hilarious. Probably inappropriate laughter because we
Hmm.
probably need to check on their well-being because some of them, seriously, they were coming down like 60 miles an hour.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm curious,
you
Everett.
know,
How old is your daughter?
she's 13 now, but back then she was 6.
Oh, so she was able to ride the slide since then.
Right. It was yellow.
Oh,
It was yellow. But you know what? I think it's the color because it was yellow then, and she went on the slower part. She didn't go on the fast part. She went on number one because 6 is number 5. 6 is fast. I learned that as I got older.
wait,
Right. I don't
wait.
remember numbers.
I
What
don't
you
remember
talking
numbers either.
about?
It was different levels to the slide.
It
Yes.
is because one is the slowest. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The sixth one, I think, was on the left hand side. That's the fastest side.
I don't think I ever knew that. That's
Look,
news to me.
he educating us already.
Yeah.
I do not remember
Yes.
that. I don't remember it being like that.
I
Seriously.
don't either.
Me either, but as a father, I paid attention to it. So that's why I was like, oh, okay. And the worker told me. So I had her going down the first slide. And she was like, it's not funny at the end. But after that, she went down again.
Uh-huh.
I videotaped it, and she said it's not funny, but she went down 2 more times, like on number
Wow.
2.
Okay, so I was thinking that the slide had been closed for a longer period of time, but if your daughter was 6 and she's only 13
It
now,
would
it
be
has
Right.
close.
So
it
for,
has
so for the so for the past, I'm sorry to cut you off. For the past 6 or 7 years, it has been closed down.
Yeah.
okay.
Yes.
But what they on now, it looks like titanium, some type of metal, because
Hmm.
just to hear them ping noises, like ping, ping, like
Wait, hey cousin Dwanelle. Yep, and she said she don't remember the numbers either.
Yeah,
Dwanelle,
but you know what though? You know how I found out about the numbers? I found out about the numbers from the workers. The workers
okay.
told me. I said, okay, which one is? She's a beginner. Which one is the slowest? They say one is the slowest, and as you go further down, it'd be the fastest.
closer to the stairs.
Okay, closer to the stairs is number 1.
Okay, got it.
As you
Okay.
go further from the stairs, it gets faster.
Okay, so what you're saying is the heels or whatever, they're not it's not even.
Right.
I never noticed that.
I never knew either. I probably just went on all of them and just thought that I probably didn't even realize it.
No, no.
Just went down. Well, apparently all of these people were going on number 1, whichever one was the fastest, because some of them they were flying so far up, they were skipping over hills. Like it was and then the fact that they had the nerve to come and do a reopen tutorial
Mm-hmm.
was just beyond me.
when you sent me that, I'm like, Gus. I named the man Gus. He got some nerve.
You named him Gus.
He got some nerve trying to tell people how to come down that slide.
He was like, first, this is what you need to do. Get in your sack. I'm like, how much? Why do we need a tutorial? But I ain't gonna
right, because he knows they're not right.
So you know what I was thinking about, Tanya. You know how GM had they filed the bankruptcy and then they came back, but only called themselves the new GM.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they just renamed themselves the new GM. I was like, maybe that's what they did when they gave the tutorial, like the new giant slide. So this is what y'all gotta do.
I don't know. I don't know.
It was funny to say the least. Like
it was. I sent it to my relatives in Chicago and Houston, and they laughed. They bust out laughing.
Yeah, it was funny. It definitely was funny.
Absolutely hilarious. And if you all need to see, how many clips did you see, Everett?
I saw the same clip over and over and over again. That was good enough for me.
Okay, well, see, we're going to share with you when this is over.
Okay.
But what I will say is that the video that actually went for viral, that everybody is taking and sharing it as their own video, was done by a personal friend of ours, Andre Terrell, who did not get the credit for the video because he didn't think it was going to go viral like that. But
he on CNN and everything.
He on everything.
Wow.
Yes. He's a photographer, DJ. You probably know him from being around Metro Detroit.
Oh, okay.
And he was actually set up a DJ booth right next to the giant slide, because it's like a big attraction. It's open again. It's the really open of the giant slide. So he was out there spinning. It's a good thing he had his
camera, his phone.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And he's actually been on our podcast before. It cost like $1.
Yep.
Per ride.
I thought it was more than that because one father was like, he getting his $20 back. So maybe
but he had bought tickets though. So when I looked on the site, it said $1 per ride.
Oh.
Yeah. So he probably had just bought up a ticket because his kid was like, "Oh, I'm done."
Oh, he was like, Jordan, come down, Jordan.
Jordan said, "I'm done." Jordan. He was like, "I might as well get these tickets away. I didn't spend my $20."
Oh my goodness!
The giant slide has an evil spirit. That boy just was lubed up real good. It was lubed up real good. Like it was throwing people left and right.
Yeah, people going airborne. I mean,
well, Everett, we have to send you. I'm gonna inbox you some of the clips. Because I don't know, we must have passed them like all day the other day, me and Keita.
But I was laughing so hard because Detroit Impact Church had a thing this morning saying, if you want to join us in for prayer, if you went on the giant slide, you could join us for prayer this morning.
I know that's boy, because that was something. Okay, so today we are talking about education. And I just need to know before we go there, where are we going today?
We're going all the way there. All the way there.
Yep.
Where are we going today?
All the way there.
Let's go.
Okay, so today we're joined by Everett Whitfield. Everett is a teacher in a school district near us. I don't know if you want to say or not, Everett.
Detroit.
Okay, yeah, DPS. Yeah. And we're all products of DPS, so that's awesome that you went back there to teach. And you're gonna like educate us. You are like, how many Black male teachers do we have?
Across the United States is a total of 2% Black male teachers across the United States. And as people may know, is that the field of education is predominantly by white women, which is 77%. before the Civil War, teaching the field of education was predominantly by white males. The reason why it converted to white women was because of the soldiers was fighting in the war, and it never came back to as far as a white male dominance. If you can recall, if you were little, you probably had like a male principal, but the teachers was all women.
Okay.
Just think about it. Elementary, middle school. But now it's not like that now. Now it's that you tend to have more women in as far as leadership positions than men now.
It was like that when I really think about every school I went to.
I know.
I had a male principal.
Right. I think about it. You also too probably had a male superintendent too as well. Arthur Jefferson.
Oh yeah, DPS.
Yeah.
You're right. Wow.
Never thought about it.
You never knew the history.
No.
I didn't know that that's why women stepped in to teach because the men went to war.
Right.
Never put those together like that.
You know, though, if you study U.S. culture, you see how complex and also too how simple it really is. It's not that big. It's not that enlarged, but the thing about it is people make it complicated because people refuse to change. And, I think that's a real crucial piece that people need to know. Once you understand the culture of this country, you have a better understanding as far as why we are the way we are.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh, that's pretty deep. Okay, so in true teacher form, Everett created like a whole slideshow presentation. We've never had anyone do this before. And because of all his hard work and effort, I'm going to go ahead and share it. And then this is going to keep us on task. And if you have any questions, Dwayne or Aaron, just feel free to jump in because we'll jump in too. But we're going to flip back and forth between the slides. And do you see it?
I can't see it, but I can see it playing down at the bottom. Oh, maybe I got it. Let me see something.
Okay, I see it now.
There we go. Okay.
Okay.
So, back here. Okay. The Current State of Education of Teaching by Mr. Whitfield. Okay, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Mr. Whitfield, Everett C.J. Whitfield. I go by. Also go by, as far as Professor Whitfield. Either way. I want you to be the judge, and also too, please feel free to jump in and ask any questions. So, I received this information far as researching information from various articles online. This is one that was very interesting to me. It's called AdoptAClassroom.org. They did a survey of 4,665 teachers nationwide. They talked to teachers as far as private, public, and charter school teachers. This is what they found. They said since the pandemic of COVID, 2 years, 81% overall workload has increased. 80% teachers are spending more time addressing students' mental health.
Okay, can we stop right there?
Yeah, I want to stop right there.
Okay, yeah. Okay, Keila, so we could pause it and get back our regular screen. Because I want to talk about, how things have changed with the workload increasing. And the workload increased because teachers left.
Right.
So why do you feel that they left or starting to leave and still just leaving?
Well, I'm very glad you asked that question. Here's the reason why some teachers are leaving. One is due to technology. Okay. So by technology is constantly changing, a lot of teachers feel that they cannot keep up with the ever change of technology. Okay. That's one. Number two is look at the salary. Salaries really is like the number one issue. Yeah. I like another slide, it shows what is the average starting salary across the United States and Michigan and also Detroit. So, and so far as a man, they basically feel that it's hard for me to be a teacher and to have a family based upon this salary. So they feel that, that basically I'm gonna have to work an extra job just to try to make sure ends meet to take care of my family. Okay.
And that's been going on for quite a while, though.
Right. It has been.
Mm-hmm.
But so that's what I said. This, like, so basically is that this is one of the reasons why you find very little as far as Black males in this field of teaching.
Yeah.
Salary is number one issue.
Yeah.
And also, too, you look at the mental health, you know, as a teacher, as an educator, I should say as an educator, you want to show compassion, you want to have a better understanding of your students. But sometimes that when you have a better understanding, try to show compassion, sometimes that, you know, you may leave yourself out and you don't take care of your well-being. You understand?
Yeah.
And you try to meet the students where they are, but you got to think, you know, I shared this with my students last year. Let's say like they were 8th graders, okay? So when they were 8th graders, the last full school year that they had inside the classroom from September to June was in 4th grade. Think about it. Because pandemic happened, it shut down the school. I'm sorry, 5th grade for them. It shut down the school in the middle part of their 5th grade year. Okay. Then they had to finish school online.
Yeah.
The following year, they had to start school online and they finished online. Last school year, we did not have a complete as far as complete inside the school. Sometimes we went virtual, sometimes we did not.
Right.
And there was sometimes that, you know, within the 3 weeks that there was no school. So think about all of this stuff basically as far as occurring. When it's occurring, you as a teacher, as an educator, you cannot control what's going on in the students' home life. You can't. Okay. You cannot control whether or not can the students get online, because right now you find this out, there are different disparities right now because education is not equal.
So it's
not equal.
Pandemic. Yeah, that pandemic shed light on the disparities across districts.
Right.
You know, and within districts, because there are schools that the kids didn't have a way to get online.
Right. And also too,
and the state mandated that if we're going to go online, everyone needed to have the access to go online. So it took some schools longer to actually get their students up online, and that was sad. And then you mentioned social emotional learning. You didn't mention it in that sense, but just in the sense of, you know, what it is. Lately, we've been dealing like with a lot of teachers. They have mental issues going on. And it's really sad. And they need to be checked after as well. But for it not to be second nature for any adult to check on a kid first, like, why does that have to be trained? Because I know that there are several districts that have to go in and teach teachers, ask your students how they're doing, and I mean, just lead them down the path just to see where they are mentally. And why I don't understand why that has to be a trained thing when it should just be like a natural thing. Like, is it something natural you guys are doing?
Well, you have to think. I want you to think. I want you to think about your education. Okay, think about your education. You had some teachers that went above and beyond, talk to you, ask you about how your day was coming along. Some teacher who took the extra effort to make sure that you understand the lesson, which at times you did not have. At times you had trouble understanding the lesson. Those teachers you tend to remember the most. You know, I can recall my 2nd grade teacher teaching me how to carry. You know, as far as addition, as far as adding. I still talk to her still to this day. I can recall my 3rd grade teacher teaching me how to write in cursive. It's not the greatest, but I'm just saying. But those teachers right there tend to stand out the most. But you also have some teachers who just did not really care. So you may have a good revelation, or you may have
because I remember those teachers that wasn't that great. I remember them real good too. You know what I mean? Like the ones who say they gotta let you know because I got mine. So you know, you want to turn, you can turn it in or not because I already got mine. Yeah, I remember them too very well.
Right. So imagine that. Now this time about far back in the 80s. Okay. Now imagine the problems Okay, so I would say this. The problems that we had back in the 80s, because I'm a 70s child. The problem we had back in the 80s, it wasn't as out there like it is now. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So because of social media, technology was totally different. It wasn't as prevalent as it is now. So now basically the children are more exposed to more things than we were kids growing up. So they see more and they see things and they tend to like, as far as having more temptation than we had. It's the same, basically, it's the same peer pressure, but it's right now it's high to the 10th level. If you understand what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So as a teacher, we had
social media. So as teacher, we had to attend workshops of how to build a teacher-student relationship, how to deal with things, how to look out for certain things if a student may not be feeling well. Also, too, think about this. Suicide is also high among teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so mental health is a real big issue. It was not addressed in the 80s. Back then, we just swept it underneath the rug.
Mm-hmm.
We just say, hey, you know what? Get strong and blah, 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 blah. Sticks and stones may break my bones and names will never harm me. But now it's that you have a generation that, what you say, it hurts.
Mm-hmm.
It did hurt back then, but children right now are more expressive. So
I think we kind of learn how to navigate through it. Like you say, it still hurt. It just was a different time.
Yeah, and not only that, it's a lingering effect now.
Yeah.
So if you say something to someone that's going to be on Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, and then it like lives forever, then everyone knows how you feel.
Yep.
Right.
Riding a bus with someone and someone yelling from the front of the bus to the back of the bus.
Yeah.
That dies down.
Exactly.
The social media out there.
Definitely.
What do you think though? How can we change education? Do you think the answer is having more Black male teachers, or?
I think it's that there's a question is someone asked. I'm sorry, not to try to get off. Someone asked a question. Does the money from the lottery go to the schools? How come there's a salary problem? So a lot of times is because that the lottery, certain portion of the lottery goes towards the school. Not all of it does, but a certain portion of it. And each district is required a certain amount of funding, okay, per student. So also people do not realize, you have to look at your tax base, okay? Detroit is the largest school district in Michigan by far, but now is that the city of Detroit has less people than the county of Macomb. That did not occur to 10 years ago.
Mm.
If you understand what I mean. So that means that as a tax base are relocating and moving out the city, that means that the city, as far as the funding that's supposed to go towards the district, also too tend to decrease as well.
Mm. That's interesting.
It is.
Now, Tom, you asked the question as far as Black males. They right now, with a lot of colleges, there is I was reading an article. It's called the He Is Me Institute, and the purpose of that is that they try to recruit Black males to go into the field of education. Mm-hmm. Because they said that when that occurred, Black males tend to not be put out of school as far as suspension. Black males tend to succeed. Black male students tend to succeed in school during that year, and they tend to have a better relationship with the teachers, and also to have a higher self-esteem.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can you show that slide, Keila? I think that's the one that's cute. The current crisis. Just
right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like this.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see this and say, like, as far as the education field, 2% of teachers are Black males. White women are the majority in this workforce is 77%. Mm-hmm. Why Black males are leaving the teaching field? It's a stress level. Staff shortages, not able to assist the children or the daily job routine. Because as a teacher, as an educator, your job is not the same every day. You may have a schedule, but things tend to pop up. Okay.
Mhm.
So it's that because of the fact is there is challenges in that certain area, especially in the urban district, you find that a lot of teachers may leave within the first 5 years. Okay. The average entry level for the teachers across the United States is 41,611.
Wow.
The lowest salary per state that I saw was Montana. If you live in Montana, the average salary for them for entry level position is 32,000.
What?
Yes, 32,000.
$32,000.
Right.
Wow. And then I would
Maybe.
wonder if they're living with the same things that, we're living with. Lack of, I won't say everyone, but just like, some districts deal with the lack of family involvement,
Mhm.
behavior issues, things going on at home that teachers don't even know how to begin with because they're not from that culture. So I
Mhm.
wonder what's going on in Montana that maybe that's just like a fluffy job or like a housewife kind of job. And
Well, what I think is because of I would say the cost of living and also too the population of people. One thing I do share with my students, if you look at the United States, okay, the eastern part of the United States, the size of the states are smaller, correct? Think about New Jersey, Maryland,
Mhm.
Delaware. Those sizes of the states are smaller. But as you go out further west, the size of the states get bigger.
Mm.
But majority of the U.S. population reside in the eastern part of the Mississippi River, like in New Jersey, like your Boston area, your Washington, D.C., Connecticut. Those areas right there where teachers make the most money, okay?
Right.
But it is based upon the salary, based upon the population of people. As you go further out west, you tend to have, you tend to have the population tend to decrease, but the size of the states are bigger, but the population tend to decrease. The only biggest states that have a huge population west of the Mississippi River is California and Texas, maybe Arizona. The rest of them, no.
Mm. That's a trip.
it is.
You have to think, like I said, you have to understand. If you understand U.S. culture, you can at least get an idea of why we are the way we are.
But it makes me think back about Tanya's question. Like maybe when some people go into the field just thinking about the salary, I always wanted to be a teacher, and maybe don't really have the compassion, like how she was saying, some people have to be trained for some of those things because maybe they don't really have the passion, or I don't know. It's something.
I look at education, teaching as an art. Not everybody's called to be a teacher.
Right.
It's an art, and
Definitely is.
one of the things you have to master is having patience,
Mm-hmm.
because deep down inside you say, "I wish this child would," but but the human side, the teacher side, is say, okay, no, we're gonna try to work this thing out.
Okay.
And sometimes a lot of times children just need something, just cry for help. They just need someone to listen, but they don't know how to, because what they're being taught at home, this is how we act to get help.
Yeah.
Some things.
That is funny. Okay, so that just reminds me of the story. I was a third grade teacher for 6 years, not in the classroom anymore. But one of my students,
Bless your heart.
I miss it, but not enough to go back because I enjoy being in education, the capacity I'm in right now.
Mm-hmm.
But funny story, not so funny story. One of my third graders called me a B.
Mm-hmm.
And and see, Everett looks like because he's heard it before. But okay. I was so like stunned because this was a little girl that I had actually thought I had poured my heart into and with my students. And so when she said it, I looked behind me because I thought someone was behind me. That's because
you like, because she can't be talking to me.
I know she cannot be talking to me. And oh my goodness, you're about to get in trouble because why would you even say that word in front of me?
Right.
So when I turned around, I didn't see anyone behind me. So I looked at her again, And she said, yeah, you be, and said it again, because she didn't like what I had asked them to do. This is 3rd grade. So before I knew it, I had the girl up against the chalkboard with the yardstick, and I was shaking. I was so upset. Like, how dare you call me this? And I could hear all the other students jumping up. They ran next door. They got my friend, who's my friend to this day, and she came over. They were like, hurry up, because Mrs. Dixon is about to kill me. I can hear all this going on, like dust flying everywhere. And then she came over, and she was like, you have to let her go, Tanya. And I was like, no, I don't. She was like, yes, you do. I was like, no, because this is the last time that she's ever going to use the word again. And she was like, but you're going to get into so much trouble. And I said, at this point, I don't care. Because if it's going to save her from calling the wrong person to be, then this is worth it, because she's never going to say it again. And she like started crying because she did not know what to do. She didn't know where I was going with this.
The teacher or the student?
The student.
Okay.
I still had her hemmed up against the board with my yardstick.
Okay.
Okay. In her face. And while my friend was trying to talk me down. And so I said, so finally let her go. And I was like, I'm going to call you home. I'm calling your mom. I'm going to call her around 7:00. And I would expect that by then you're going to tell her what happened. Because I don't want it to come from me. And so she didn't tell her mother, but I did call at 7. I told her mother. And her mother was just like, I can't believe she said that. Kiara. Ooh, that's her name.
We didn't say the last name.
We don't know her though. We don't know.
We sure don't.
You didn't say.
I don't know. She might be my friend. Anyway, did you call Mrs. Dixon? And she just said the whole thing. And I'm just like, and so from there, that was over 20 years ago. These teachers are dealing with so much more now.
Right.
Because when
they
I
really are.
Everett did not flinch.
I was like,
I know you gasped. Like, but you didn't flinch, because now these teachers are dealing with so much more.
I can't, even some of the stuff that you just see that goes viral, I be floored. Like, I could never, and this is, and shout out to all the teachers who do this. And I'm talking about from their hearts, because I know they do not have to return back to the classrooms, but some of the things that go viral, I be about to pass out, because I'm like, how a student, I would have probably did what this teacher did when they be like, he deserved to be fired. And I'm like, yeah, I probably would have been fired, because the way that these kids get up in their face and the names they be calling them out, picking up weapons. And yeah, it's a lot. It's different.
So basically it goes back to, I say, as far as home life. Okay. If you think about it, the parents are the first job. The parents are the first teachers, really. Okay.
Supposed to be.
Supposed to be, right. If it's not being taught as far as level of respect, anything like that, then after that, they expect the teachers to do it. But by that time the child is 4 or 5 years old. And and also too, let's keep it real. Some students, because a lot of people do not know, kindergarten is not mandatory in the state of Michigan.
It's not.
It's not.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's not. So that means that your child doesn't have to start school until first grade. Okay.
Really?
Right.
Yes.
Kindergarten is not mandatory. So that means that for the first 6 years, if the child just hear this and see this, all that type of stuff, they think that that's acceptable. Okay. But the thing about it is that as educators, we try to help the children to understand, say, look, in a few more years, you will be entered to the workforce. You cannot take this type of attitude to the workforce. Okay. And I think it's that if we try to, sometimes as far as educators, if we try to bring as far as real life scenarios, as far as issues, and I'm going to say issues, but as far as like help students understand that, hey, because we always say, hey, you know what though, by the time you get a job, blah, blah, blah. The kids can't see that.
No, they can't.
They can't see it. But if we bring like an application in, or maybe probably decide some far as like guest speakers who are close to their age, as far as say, hey, at my job, we have to wear this type of uniform. If we don't wear the uniform, we will lose a day's pay. And what's minimum wage right now?
But think about it, back in the 80s, like, you keep saying we had that stuff. You know what I'm saying? I don't know about your school, but we had people come in and talk, not necessarily people who might have worked at Wendy's or McDonald's, but it was a person who came in she might have been 20 years old and she worked at the bank, or the teacher took an hour out. Maybe those were things that our teachers personally did, that was something that they did on their own, maybe, but I do remember that.
Yeah, but a lot of things have happened since then.
Yes.
Tanya, you can recall this too. When you start teaching, especially in the 90s, if you notice that the middle schoolers probably middle school start to disappear in the 90s, and slowly but surely start becoming K-8.
Yeah, K-8 or K-6, and they'll spend 2 years and
right. Right. So remember when we were growing up, you had a lot of middle school. But as far as what happened to Detroit population dropped drastically. But then, as far as that, within a 10-year period, so that the middle school that we used to have, remember in middle school, we used to have as far as typing, wood shop,
home ec, sewing,
home ec, sewing,
all of that.
They don't do that now.
No.
Because we also, too, in the 90s, remember that they also, too, cut out gym, art,
instruments.
Yeah, they cut those things out. So by the time that you cut these things out, because sometimes if the child just sit from the computer and listen to things and listen to teachers teach and all that type of stuff, they don't have an outlet.
Right.
So that means that only one, as far as their creativity side, is not being challenged or it's not being heard. It does affect, and
that's interesting. That's interesting because that's true.
Yeah,
that's
they
true.
lost the funding for those things, and they have the money to pay for those teachers.
And then a lot of parents who were not fortunate to be able to put their kids in dance or outside of the school district, then they just go home and just go home. You know what I mean?
Right. Because you also, too, you ever noticed that we used to have recreation centers, too.
Yep.
In the neighborhood.
That
probably going after school, especially during the summertime.
Yes. So, wait, Aaron is saying, where do you see DPS headed if things don't improve? Okay. So I can answer this. DPS is not going anywhere. They tried it. They tried it when they tried to shrink us from, and I'm saying us because I was there at the time, like 140,000 students down to dividing us into the EAA. The EAAs did not work. So no, those students are back.
Tanya, say what EAAs are.
Those are those schools that, was it the government that started those?
Educator? Yeah, it was the government for those students who had low test scores. It was the educational
agency, something or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they didn't stay around for long.
Okay. Like 2 years back.
2 years, and realized that they were not doing the students any service. And so that's when they folded back into DPS. And schools, DPS, Pontiac, Waterford, public schools, it's a business. Whether we want to look at it as being this business or not, they're not going anywhere, Aaron. So whether they improve or not, they're still going to be around. And as far as like 100% online learning, that will never happen, because we learned that through the pandemic, everyone doesn't learn that way. So that's why they have these virtual academies set up everywhere. But to take away in person, and then school also, whether we want to say it or not, it's like that's daycare for a lot of families that work. So they're not going anywhere for that reason.
Yeah.
And homeschool, and everyone can homeschool. People think, I'm going to stay at home and homeschool you.
I'm going to tell you right now.
People from the state for that.
I wouldn't have been able to homeschool.
No.
I wouldn't have been able to do it. I know a lot of people went that direction, but I would have been that parent. I said, Johnny, if 5 apples, I would have been that.
Said the same thing 5 different ways.
If Johnny had 5 apples, I would have definitely been that parent.
And by 5 different ways, you start.
What's your answer?
You yelling.
What's your answer? 25.
I would have definitely been that parent. So no.
Yeah,
homeschool is a curriculum by the state, so you have to get a homeschool number, like a licensing, and everyone can homeschool.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, and also too is that you mentioned that as far as does it improve. I think all urban schools, just not only in Detroit, but across the nationwide, have its own challenges. Okay. And the challenges is it comes from the community. The community is the home base. Okay. I always say this is that, you start with the neighborhood. The neighborhood affects the school. The school affect the community. The community affect the city. The city affect the county. The county affect the state. So it's like a ripple effect, And think about it is that you have to start with the basic, which is home, and after that coming to the school. But the thing about it is the parents have to be willing to work with the school, and as far as making sure that their child get everything that they need, because I tell parents all the time, you are your child's advocate.
Right.
You are your child's advocate, because that, your child's frustration, because basically your child looks to you to help them out to get them where they need to go. They may not probably can express their needs to the teacher, but they can tell you in so many ways. And
you can communicate with the teacher.
Yeah.
That's what I liked about the emailing system, because back in the day, our parents had to physically either call or go to the school.
Or write a letter.
Or write a letter. Send a letter in your backpack. Like
they never got home.
Yep. So I love that they had the where you can email the teachers and go on there and look. Like, that was the best thing ever to me, because if you had a teacher, I never had a teacher that wasn't good at responding. So I think that worked out perfect, because I used that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wait, I like what Dora said. Teachers cannot apply structure of any type in the classrooms. At one time, if some student did not get it at home, they did not get it at school.
Mm-hmm.
They did get something at school.
If they did not get it at home, they
did get something at school. So it means that, I know what she's saying, that if they didn't get a type of structure at home, they looked to find someone where they got it at school. It was interesting. One of my former students contacted me last week. I taught her 20 years ago. And she was telling everyone how wonderful I was, how good a teacher I was to her in the 3rd grade. And she's doing well in Atlanta and everything. So I told her I'm very proud of her.
Yeah. And that's good when they reach out, because it's funny now that I'm friends with a lot of my students on Facebook.
Yeah.
And they'll say something and I'll chime in and be like, "Oh, I didn't mean that, Mrs. Dixon." I'm like, "But I see that you're saying this." And we're still friends even after that, because they like that discipline. They like the structure.
Right.
But it's sad that when we, you pour so much into a kid and they go home and then it's like completely undone.
Right.
It's like you're competing with
home life.
Home life.
And it's not as you might have had 1 or 2 parents back when we were growing up that might have been the rebels. But for the most part, what the teacher said, they kind of lined up. Like, the teachers and the parents work together. Like, now the parents are like, don't say this to my kid, and blah blah blah. It's a different time. And the kids know that their parents are like that, so they like, call my mama.
I don't care.
And right now it's so tough, because whether we want to face it or not, we're still at the tail end of like the pandemic, and just trying to climb back from that, because 2 years of learning was lost.
Right.
2 years of social, emotional, the strides that we would have been making with kids as far as that is lost. And that's a lot of loss that the kids are suffering. But they're losing, in the state, they're still demanding that we meet all of these things. And it's just, they need to just come and visit and just see.
Well, that's the problem that I have. We look at our field of education. I cannot tell a doctor what to do. I don't have a background in medicine or anything. Okay, so I cannot go to a hospital, be on a board, and say, hey, you need to have more of this, more of that, blah, blah, blah.
I know. Next time, cut them this way, not that way.
Yeah.
You'll just do better that way.
Right. But when it comes to education, you don't have to have a background. The politicians make up laws, make up certain things. I'm like, that has nothing to do with what we teach it,
Right.
And I think one of the biggest things that I did not really touch upon was CRT, critical race theory.
Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm. But in Florida, the governor in Florida, he said that there are certain things that, also to governor in Texas, there are certain things that far as the children cannot learn, far as that we should not teach this. And a lot of the stuff dealing with what things happened through the civil rights movement or also the Native Americans things, as far as the I forgot what it's called, when they had to, like, when basically they have to relocate to Oklahoma. Oh, Trail of Tears. So those type of things they're trying to take away from in the books. But critical race theory is not that. Critical race theory, you learn about those things as a grad student in college. Mm-hmm. We don't teach, K through 12 does not teach critical race theory. Critical race theory is based upon a theory, it's an opinion. Mm-hmm. I think this is happening. But what basically, as far as what we are talking about, these are actual facts that occur within the United States, but they do not want to discuss those things.
That's true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot deeper-ish. It's way deeper than from the people like us who are on the outside, looking in.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I will encourage is for the parents is to get involved early in part of the school year. Get to know your teachers, learn your child's schedule, mm-hmm. lunchtime too, everything, mm-hmm. and make a visit to the school. It doesn't matter what grade your child is in, but just make a visit. Make your presence known so that your child knows that, hey, as far as my teacher will talk to my parent anytime. I need to buckle down. I need to step my game up.
Right.
I need to do certain things. And also, too, is that try to get like a schedule at home. What time is bedtime? I remember my mother, it was 8:30 for me up until like the 4th grade. And I used to be upset because I want to watch Monday Night Football. Monday Night Football came out at 9 o'clock. And I missed some of the games. But as I got older, I did show that, hey, I know as far as I could do my work. She was lenient on as far as my bedtime as I got older. But beforehand, 8:30. I'm like, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
But you set like a bedtime, you set like a schedule, and the children, as far as the children would know that, hey, by this time I need to do this time I need to do that. It built up time management for them as well.
Oh yeah.
The time management is very crucial.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
How to manage your time.
And I mean, a lot of take their phones away. And I always took my daughter's phone at night when she went to bed because I found out that she would be in the bed, but still on the phone and still going to sleep 3 hours late. Mm-hmm. So when it was bedtime, I'm like, turn in your phone, because I know you'll go to sleep. But Tanya, I just see you switched the thing. Did you want me to add it?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, you can show that because like where are the teachers going? So we're kind of like all over the place with this education.
But it's good. It's so good though.
Yeah, but this part, like, so the teachers that are leaving, Everett actually researched like where they're going.
Okay.
Because they're not just going home. They're like finding like other jobs. And so if you're looking at the screen now, you see that they're going to museums, publishing companies, like I know youth worker. Okay, so some teachers can't go too far from the kids. Corporate learning and development. Yep, that's like training, tutoring, student-centered development. Yeah. So
that's
Everett,
interesting.
How long have you been teaching, Everett?
Since 98, I would say 24 years.
Wow. Okay.
I know. I just little gray.
I know. I saw that little gray patch. I was teasing about it before we.
Yeah. I started when I was 26. I started off as a sub. and I just work my way up.
Do you see yourself retiring from teaching? Or maybe you don't even want to answer that on air.
No, I can't answer that.
Okay.
I see, in the field of education, yes, but not as a teacher. No, in the field of education, yes, but not as a teacher.
Okay.
I want to. I prepare myself to move away from the classroom as we speak. I think I, done a good job, done my duty. Sometimes I think it's times that you have to let the young people come in and step in.
Yeah. That's why it's important to always like duplicate yourself or adopt one of those young teachers coming in and like keep them, so they don't leave, because it's so discouraging sometimes. And I mean, just in the position I'm in now, getting cussed out by parents, getting cussed out by students, and the generation that's coming now, they're like, we don't have to deal with this, and they leave so quick. So
we were literally just talking about that at work the other day.
Like, oh no, I don't have to deal with this.
It's a revolving door with this next generation.
Yeah.
So I thought that's interesting too, because that they I was reading one article, they talked about that going out of days how people will work in the factory like for 30 years or in this field for 30 years. Those days are gone.
It's gone.
Yeah, they are.
It's gone.
It is.
And I think that our generation is like the last Generation X. Our generation is like the last one that will stay at a job forever or whatever. But
and we were literally just having this conversation at work last week. I don't always think that it's necessarily a bad thing. I think we're kind of conditioned. You get a job, you go to college, you get a job, you get a family, you get a house. Life is good. Now people are more so like, I'm not about to do this for 30 years. I'm going to move on. But the thing is I think that that's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing if you're not really finding something else to do. Because it's like, okay, but what are you doing though? Like, because you've been sitting here for like a year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. They don't even give like 2-week notice.
No, they don't. They don't do that.
Girl, this is funny, but not funny. But the and I won't say the name of this group, but they were getting like a tour of the district that they were going to work in. And I guess that tour was not favorable for them. Now, mind you, they had already had their degrees.
Okay.
They're like, okay, I've decided I'm not doing this. And like a couple of them quit. And I'll tell you who it is on one tweet. Shut this camera off. But yeah, but they're like, okay, nope.
Yeah, they don't stick. They don't have loyalty to nothing but themselves. Even if they are not bringing in a check, they don't care. They don't care.
Right, they don't. And you know what though? That's how our culture is. This is how our U.S. culture is right now. Think about it. I'm not for sure you know what's going on with KD and Kyrie Irving. Well, KD, he signed a 4-year contract with the Brooklyn Nets. Okay.
Oh, basketball. I'm like,
yeah, basketball. Okay, I'm sorry, but it's basically like an example.
Okay.
He signed a contract with the Brooklyn Nets, a 4-year contract. Okay. So he was hurt maybe like majority of last year, 2 years ago, and he played a little bit this year. All of a sudden, I want to be traded. I don't want to play for you all anymore.
Yeah, they was hot mad at him too.
Yeah, and he said like this, look, only way I'll play for you is the coach and the GM have to go. Who does that?
Wow.
But this is the type of
mentality.
Right. This is the type of thing what's going on right now as far as with the young people. So no, they don't have loyalty, and a lot of them do not stick around. As far as like if it may get hot, they just tend to go away.
Yeah, and that's why I say I like the in a respect of them being able to move on and not be so stuck. But it's like, what are you moving on to though? Right. Like they will just move on with nowhere to go. And I don't like that part. You know what I mean? It's like it's got to be some type of balance.
Because they're comfortable not having anything to do. But what's not good about it is that you have to finish what you start.
Exactly.
So if you start the school year, finish the school year.
I know time is winding down, but we are all parents here. Do you think that all falls on us though?
And okay, in regards to what?
These, because like we individually teach our own kids to do that. Like I know I have to teach my daughter that you got to stick and stay, and she like, for what? I don't like it there. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then she'll come home and be like, yeah, I just told them today I'm not coming back tomorrow. You know, I'm like, wait, you can't do that. You know what I'm saying? So I think our generation is, I don't know if our parents drilled it in us. I really can't say that they did, or we just actually watched them do it and then we just follow suit. But do you think that falls on us to teach our kids to be that way?
I think it's both. I think it's because I think our parents did show us as far as determination and hard work. Sometimes you got to stick with it just to get where you need to go. One thing I tend to use like something biblical. Okay, if you don't mind, something biblical. If you look at it, like, okay, for example, God anointed David to become a king at the age of 15. Okay, David, he did not take hold as far as the king of Israel at the age of 15. David had to go through a process. He had to fight Goliath. He had to learn how to fight. He had to learn how to manage an army. He had to learn how to do all these type of certain things to become a king. He did not just get the as far as being anointed and as far as sitting on the throne. He had to go through a process.
Right.
I think what's missing now in our children is learning how to stick with the bad times as far as going through the process, because the process would make you become a stronger person.
Exactly.
So by just to be quitting, you're not learning.
No.
Yeah. You don't know how they'll come out on the other end of it if they
really don't, and the connections that they'll make.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't want us to go over because I want to be able to post it. So I'll let Tanya,
Yeah. So no, I do. We probably have to come back again because we didn't get a chance to touch all your slides. So please forgive us. But this was a good conversation.
It was. And even Aaron said, I have a renewed respect for you teachers. I mean, I do too. It's like I hear Tanya on the other end when she's saying certain things, but I'm still on the outside, so I don't get to hear all of the stuff that you guys deal with, daily. But
it's more than, because it's not just the kids, it's the parents, and so that's a lot of people leave because of the families and not for the kids, and then the politics of it all. And if you end up with like a bad administrator, that just makes your situation 20 times worse than what you're dealing with anyway within your classroom.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, it could be pretty bad. So, okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to post, we could post your slides so people can actually go through them and actually see the research that you did. I like to give out a challenge every week just to challenge people. Do you have a challenge though, Everett?
Okay, well, I do have a challenge.
Hold on.
Tell me what the challenge has to. Well, okay, a good challenge
for the people that's listening.
Okay, so a good challenge for me is that I want everyone to try to read a book.
Okay,
we
can do that.
Read a book that I would say on a person that inspired you.
Oh,
it could be any person.
Okay,
but biography of that person that inspired you.
I like that.
Yeah. And just see, and after you're done reading, see how their life can be applied to your life. What things can you do to make some changes? Because they all face some struggles and everything.
Yep.
But how they overcome their struggles and everything.
Yeah, that's why it's good to read autobiographies. Okay, so and Everett's really good with the follow-up. So look for him to be checking on our page. He'll probably post so definitely want to read that. Aaron is still talking about that.
He's still talking about that. Okay, it's 59.
It is. And we appreciate you all tuning in. Thank you so much. Look for the slides so you can learn more about the education and what's going on. We appreciate you, Everett. Disconnect this. Don't hang up because we like to debrief afterwards.
Okay.
But continue to interact with the show even after it's done. Go back and watch a certain part, and we're all going to be chiming in, I'm sure, to answer your questions, comments, and concerns.
Yes.
So everyone, please have a good week. You can
Have
check
an
this.
awesome.
Yep. Have a good week. And you can check this out on our Facebook page and other
Instagram and YouTube.
platforms. You can put it on. Be safe. Enjoy your week.
Have a good
And
one.
go back to school.